Let's talk about the Ukraine war. $75 billion since October 23rd of last year. There's a lot more expenditures. I'm sure the numbers are probably higher than that. In order to understand the Ukraine in kind of more of a fuller context, you got to go back to almost 20 years ago. And I believe the woman that was working for a State Department that was assigned to Ukraine was Victoria Nuland. And there's a lot of pieces. And you know, there's a phrase I want you to remember with all these videos that you get from me. And that is the phrase, the devil is in the details. There's a lot of details here that most average Americans are not made aware of. And CBS, ABC, Fox, none of those bums, CNN, are ever going to tell you otherwise. But there's a lot of details. The details are, some of them, I'm just going to give you a few, is that Victoria Nuland was kind of working, probably with intelligence, but working as a State Department employee and saying that we have an opportunity here to basically put our own guy in the presidency in Ukraine. And they worked towards that, and they got basically a stand-up comedian and TV actor in Zelensky to become the president. Then they turned around and they started having conversations about Ukraine joining NATO. What a lot of people don't know is Ukraine is the breadbasket of Russia and of Europe. That, like you're talking about 25% of grain, of commodities coming out of the beautiful land that is the Ukraine, a very fertile land. So the Americans know this. And this was a provocation that pushed Mr. Putin to make an advance. I don't think Putin is a great guy. I don't think anybody would think that. But what he does have is he has longevity, and he has a longevity of ideology. Our longevity of ideology lasts as long as the longest longevity we have in the United States is the lobbyists that control our politicians on both sides. If we remove lobbying, if we made lobbying an absolute federal crime, if we caught people that were giving money from foreign governments to billionaires in this country, outside of this country, to our politicians to affect policy, they would be facing 50 years in federal prison, effectively the rest of their lives. This is absolutely what we're going to have to do in order to get democracy back in the United States. We have to get rid of lobbying by all means necessary. And make no mistake, lobbying is very much a part of the policy that was being built almost 20 years ago and how we were going to deal with Ukraine. This goes back into the 90s, into the early 2000s, into the mid 2000s. And Mr. Joe Biden was supposed to be the czar for dealing with Ukraine. And that's when he sent his son over, he's a lawyer, but he doesn't have any real experience or probably even speaks Ukrainian for that matter. And he ends up on the board of Burisma, which is the Ukrainian natural gas giant. He's making $60,000 a month as a consultant. At the same time that this is happening, you got individuals, Roger Stone and Mike, can't think of his last name. He's a former general. He was on Trump's team, and they were over there as well. The Podesta brothers, they're part of the Clinton machine, and they were over there. So What you have is you have people trying to think of ways they can make money, think of ways that they can stymie the Russian economy. They're thinking of ways of getting control over the resources and capabilities of Ukraine right under the nose of the Russian government, and thinking that nothing was going to happen. And what makes it really bad when it comes to Ukraine is that we found out when you do a deep dive that there was a moment in time just prior to the whole attack happening, the special operation, as Mr. Putin likes to call it, where we could have went to the negotiation table and all these lives, all this money could have been saved. But the British and the Americans and probably some other individuals, G Money corporations, people especially in the military industrial complex, they said, no, we don't want to do that. And here's the irony. Me and my girlfriend, we watch vlogs all the time. Go on YouTube and look for yourself at the vlogs that are being made right now as we speak, showing cash money on the table in Ukraine. Kiev's got more bars, more clubs. People are partying, chilling. You would never know that they've had the bombings, the explosions, the fighting that's been going on. This has been an isolated thing in certain sectors. And most military experts say the Ukrainians have nothing. I don't care how many F-16 jets you want to try to give them. I don't care about how many special operation individuals are teaching them how to use weapons. There's no winning this war for the Ukrainian people. No way. And we're wasting our money and our time and our capability giving it to them and giving it to a person who probably, according to the ICC and ICJ, should be under charges, and that would be Benjamin Netanyahu. The money that we're giving to Israel right now is hurting us. We need to extricate AIPAC, one of the biggest lobbyists. That's why you get rid of all their lobbyists, so they won't have to scream anti-Semitism when you get rid of AIPAC. You can't get rid of AIPAC alone. Get rid of all of them. And now, whether it's AOC or Josh Hawley, two of the most phoniest people I think that are up there. They're all phony to me. I don't have any respect for it, hardly any of them. The only guy I have respect for is Bernie, and Bernie has been truncated, to put it nicely, because we absolutely know that the lobbying effort that's taken place has gotten rid of people who would be very popular towards progressive ideas. And one of the major groups that is doing that on a regular basis is AIPAC. AIPAC was the one that got involved with Nina Turner's election in Ohio. And they and it was Hillary Clinton they gave the money to. They went through the Clinton Organization Foundation. And she sent over $10-12 million. And they flooded enough money, got enough ads, and they're saying negative stuff about Nina Turner, that Chantel Brown, a no-name butt kisser that they brought out, some black woman that doesn't have any type of real expertise in government service as opposed to somebody like Nina Turner. And now we have Chantel Brown, who none of you guys know who she is. You never see her. You never see anything. Because this is the way the system works. If we get rid of lobbying, we can now give the government back over to the people. And that would include the Electoral College. That would include getting rid of Citizens United, which is so far away now because now we are seeing that our own Supreme Court justices are compromised by billionaires. And that's a video for another time. But Ukraine is a lost cause. And the money that's going to it should be going to Americans, especially in these disaster zones right now. We have green jobs to do, and those green jobs is to make our roads safer, to make our systems harden from bad weather events, as well as outside events like the most horrific scenario ever, which is an EMP. And like electronic magnetic pulse, which shut down our systems, our grid, our power, our ability to move data, to move equipment, to move food, to do our jobs. Our systems would completely be shut down. If that was to happen over the United States, security experts say that 90% of the population would be close to death within 6 months. We have some serious problems. We don't need another B-2 bomber. We don't need another advanced warfare system. We need a way to protect the planet from natural events and unnatural events. We need to make money from thinking about how we're going to mine asteroids. We need to make money on how to develop. We took our technology, and it's our technology to help build the Iron Dome over Israel. We need an Iron Dome around the whole planet. May have a wake-up call. I don't know if any of you people out there are following what's going on with the discoveries by the James Webb Telescope. But this is a volatile environment in which we exist in. And we need to have planetary ideas and planetary laws and planetary way of going about things. The idea of individual countries with their little skirmishes fighting back and forth, while we have a much greater picture to bring into play, this is the change that needs to happen. If we start thinking in this way, we have a chance for survival. We have a chance to evolve as a species in the cosmos. There seems to be almost no argument to the idea that aliens are on the planet, have been on the planet, and will come to this planet. And I can't imagine that the way that they may have dealt with the mathematics to do light speed travel or greater than light speed travel, or even better yet, warp drive, could not have occurred if they weren't one as a people on a planet. And I would think that if we have any chance of survival, of surviving ourselves, surviving the mistakes, we must get rid of the money-oriented greed that drives humanity. And whether it's in lobbying, whether it's in banking, whether it's in every facet of American life and life in the world. We know that if you go to McDonald's in Europe, you're probably getting a healthier product than we get in the United States, because almost everything that's in our food supply is tainted by cancer-causing chemicals. And again, there's regulations that are supposed to happen, and you get a 4-year presidency with the Democrats. Maybe you get some extra regulation. They'll throw you a little bone, they'll give you a little sliver. Then the Republicans come in and they add 5, 6, 7, in Donald Trump's case, $7.8 trillion to the deficit, and then deregulate everything that you just regulated. So if you could look at our regulation, it was born out of events that happened like Love Canal and the poisoning of our waterways. And it's a graph. It goes up and down like this, where we get a gain and then we step back, two steps back, because some corrupt politician got lobbied by a company that wants to poison the environment. So it's frustrating to talk about these things, but we need to talk about them. We need to understand and think of real world solutions to end lobbying, to end warfare across the world, to use our technologies that we have from the warfare experience into civilian technologies, to be able to refurbish and recreate operational value in every aspect of human existence, our air, our water, our food supply. Right now, we got 75% water on the planet, and we're killing our oceans with chemicals. Our fish and our waterways are polluted. We have giant plastic islands out there from plastics. Our whole way in which we're doing things has to change. We have to make a 180-degree turn if humanity is to survive itself. So let's think about how we can do that. Let's end the war and what's taking place in Israel and in the Middle East. Let's bring the people to justice that need to be brought to justice. And let's end the wars that are taking place in Ukraine as well, and stabilize markets and stabilize the planet. And think about ways in which we can help people who have the least, not criminalize them, but think of social economic justice.